beating is the answer, right? If you can listen very well in some modern songs, zvese zvairovesa kunyarara kunorovesa.
Ngatisatora chikafu tichibva tapedzera vanhu. Nekuti tiri as a community, as a family, we share the same food. Saka iwewe tora chako usirawo vamwe. Because vanoda kudya. Ukatora ukadya iwewe ukachipedza vamwe vanofa nenzara. See?
I am human, did not feel our pain. Kutendere murume,
and I'm your host. We are on GOTA MEN'S ISSUES, the program where we look into issues pertaining to men in the African setup, in the African society, in Zimbabwe, right? So the program is going to, we are going to discuss a topic, and before we go any further, don't forget to subscribe on GOTA MEN'S ISSUES. We are on YouTube, we are on Instagram, so subscribe, like and share, right? So today we are going to be discussing a very topical issue, an issue pertaining to parenting. Parenting is a very, very important issue, and with me here, I've got my guest, and today we have got Uncle Ben again, who is going to help us to dissect the issues pertaining to discipline, right? So I'll give time to Sekuru Bati introduce to the viewers. Yes, Sekuru.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back today on the issue of discipline. Of course, I am Mpemhena S3, an educationist. I'm very much interested in a lot of things that happen to us, around us as men. So I'm glad that we are here today, and I'm sure you're going to benefit quite a lot. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Uncle Ben. And our topic today is based on discipline, and we are saying discipline without damage, raising responsible children beyond the can, right? The background of the story is like, in African setup, they're supposed to be beaten. The answer is, beating is the answer, right? If you can listen very well in some modern songs, zvese zvairovesa kunyarara kunorovesa kutaura futi kunorovesa. So we are saying, in the context of the issues of corporal punishment, which has been outlawed by our constitution, how best can we raise a child? Because it takes a village to raise a child, right? That's what we as Africans believe, right? As men, what are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to handle cases of indiscipline? How are we supposed to discipline our children? So we are going to discuss a number of issues pertaining to discipline, and first and foremost, we are going to say to discuss what is discipline. Yes, Uncle, help us to dissect this issue.
Thank you. Discipline, langoti mchishona kuzisa mugwara,
okay,
right? It's a way of behaving in a way that is expected. That is discipline, right? But if we are talking about, when we are talking about disciplining children now,
yes,
we are saying they have done things that are not within what is expected.
okay,
And we want them to come back and behave and act in a way that is permissible,
Okay.
that is expected in the family, in the society. So we talk about discipline. In other words, kudzora vana kuti varambe vari mugwara, nekuti mwana semunhu anofanira kunge ari mugwara. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much for highlighting that. And there's a very popular, popular saying, right? Spare the rod and spoil the child, right? So it's a popular saying. It's an anthem among African. In fact, in the African setup, munhu akakanganisa runzi kushaya kurohwa, right? So we are here to look into this issue and say, what can be done to raise a responsible child without damaging the child, right? Without the care, right? What can be done, right, within the African setup? Because we know issues pertaining makarekare chikura, maticha anowa, right? Baba anowa, right? Amai kana kurukumusha mwana akaita msika zunzi baba wako vachauya, parunzi vachauya. That's the story, right? So how then, as fathers, right, as men, can we raise children without the care, but responsible, training them to be responsible, making them responsible? Because we have found out that within the parameters of the law, within the institutes of the law, right, currently corporal punishment is not allowed, it's not accepted, right? Because in the African setup, we can agree in many African homes and schools that corporal punishment is seen as normal, right? And it is considered as a sign of serious parenting, right? It is also it is expected to make sure that children, whether they are pupils at school, they are school children, they are supposed, the teacher who beats is the teacher anuchkiwa, and is the teacher who is said to be more responsible. So we want to have a conversation here to say, raising disciplined children without emotional damage, what does it take? What does it take to raise disciplined children without emotional damage? Yes, that's the first point of contact.
Thanks. I think the first question is it possible to raise children without care?
Okay.
Without the shampoo. Pasina shampoo. I think evidence from across the world is there to show that it is possible.
Okay. Yes.
Saka, how can you do that, right? Yes, it's also, I think it starts from understanding that we were a generation, we were generations that did not receive any other form of discipline, except what? The beating,
the shampoo.
Yeah, but we know the consequences. We know that there were times when the shampoo was too much and it damaged the individuals. Right? Yes. And at times the violence that we see today could be that was generated by that. We have talked about kusarohwa and it across the board. Kusarohwa kusarohwa everywhere, even from a political point of view,
okay.
So the violence that we are talking about came. One source is that beating.
Okay.
So is it possible? Yes, I've already said that. It's happening in other societies. The question now is how.
Okay. Yes. I've heard you well. You said how can we bypass this, right? Because the point of reference,
still discipline,
right? The point of reference among parents today is to say we're beaten. That's why we turned out fine, like what we are, right? That's the point of reference. And for them, it's like authority must not be questioned, right? It must not be questioned because a person of higher authority must exercise his power or a power over somebody, right? So, but you have also raised an issue to say, is it not what is now actually affected our community today to say the domestic violence we are seeing, right? The violence that we are seeing, whether it is political violence, whether it is domestic violence, or any form of violence, is it not a result of this damage that has already happened? Because the phrase has been overused, right? It is important, but it has been overused. So we are going to find out that UNICEF, right, has actually advocated for child protection systems, right? So the question that we want to answer now, or want to discuss now, is to say, what can be done without the kernel?
Okay, thank you so much. I think there are several things that we can do, but we'll start with the mindset.
Okay.
And which at the moment, the mindset is use the shampoo. Discipline is about beating. Munhu akaita zinyarira akaramba achitaura rova. Munhu akanzisiya zvokuita akaramba achizviita rova ndokuti aregera. Saka it's already a mindset. Saka chekutanga ndechekuti we need to change our mindset.
A reset.
Yes, let's reset. Ukarova munhu ndokuti adisciplined here. If that is the case, why are we having indiscipline? Kubva kudhara kwacho.
Continuous.
Was it extinguished in discipline?
In other words, beating.
We have been beating each other. Tichiti ndokuti munhu adini aite apinde mugwara. Saka takapinda here. Tirimo here tese. Kana tagara problem imboripo. Saka kana problem iriko zvinoreva kuti what we have been doing, what we have been doing culturally, what we have been believing in, well, it might not be the best thing. And remember, ndogara tichitaurira vanhu kuti kana tichitaura zvinhu izvi ngatisataura tichizvitarisa isusu. Nekuti isusu takatobvako kuhwana hwacho. But vanhu vatikudzira navo these are our children. And our children are not our part of our generation. Vanhu vakatosiyana nesu. Saka vanhu ava ndichitaura vanhu vakasiyana nesu. Isusu takakurira kumusha, taifudza mombe, taididi. Saka discipline yeko ukada kuita mazuva ano nediscipline yemuno mutauni yekuno kwandiri kudiaspora hazvidini zvinogona kusabuda. Saka how do we do it? That change let's begin to think about changing our mindset and look around nezvinhu zvinoita. Chekutanga chandinotoona hangu ndechekuti let's be good role models. Before we go to possibly the solutions, we want to look at the impact of the harm that is actually been caused by this scam, right? Already you have mentioned some of the things. You have said the aggressiveness that we have today is possibly because of the beating, right? We've talked about political violence across Africa. We have talked about domestic violence. The rate at which domestic violence is rising in Zimbabwe is very high, right? Despite the fact that there are laws that have been put in place, but actually it has actually increased. So those are some of the effects. What are other effects of this beating? We have relational effects on relations. Right? It will take time for me to forgive and forget. At times I will not even forget. Saka zvatokonzeresa bad relations. Saka togona kukura unoona ndorova ndiri mwana mudiki because iwewe semurume sefather is a father nditika uri powerful but ichasvika nguva ichati ndichaitawo even stronger than you because iwe uchachembera the revenge, right? Saka ndopo munozonzwa paya wakunzi murume mukuru akarohwa nevanhu. Saka tozvishora nditika but lukangana kuti ini ndii ndakadzidzisa mwana uyu. And at times munoziva kuti beating you are not beaten because every time you are home. At times it's mistaken. Pamwe ndaitawo kubuda mugwara kwacho nekusaziva.
Alright.
So do I need to be beaten?
Okay.
Right? Pamwe ndakuda kugwara nekundafurirwawo zvangu.
Okay.
It's not because I decided to misbehave.
Okay.
Anditi? Saka inobva ndarohwa. Saka ina handichatarisi kuti ndanga ndabuda mugwara but mandiroverei.
Okay.
Saka we are generating anger in society.
Okay, there is
right?
anger, right?
Yes. Saka iwo ukarohwa wakaita munhu ari angry, uyu akarohwa wakaita munhu ari angry. Saka at the end of the day ndosaka tizoona kuti dhora chairo munhu anogona kuuraya 50 cents, vanhu vanogona kurovana vakaurayirana 50 cents because vagara vari angry because they've been cultured into that. Okay. If you don't agree with what I'm saying, I'll beat you.
Okay.
You see, so it becomes normal to be aggressive, normal to administer corporal punishment.
Okay.
But is it necessary?
Okay.
Can we do it? Can we solve our problems using other means? You see? Yeah, as you know,
This also.
as adults, there are times when, of course, we don't have always to fight. And mukazoti iwe mwana wako don't, like varume handiti turasa varume, ukazomuti iwe usazorova mudzimai wako, yeti iwe urundirova nekuti pane zvandakanganisa handiti, kana kuti ndatoona iwe uchitozviita because wakadzidzidza kuchivabereki vako ozonditi iwe usaita. Saka tiri kuramba tichiita perpetuate this idea of violence. Tozoitaura zvedu but still iri musystem. Saka inoda kutanga yabva system. And inobva musystem nenyaya yekuti tiri kutarisa new generation. Saka ngatitange itaita detox the new generation.
Okay, there is toxicity.
Yes. Violence iyo ngatiibvise. Handiti? Taibvisa now, this generation and other generations to come will be free of this mindset.
Okay. You have raised a very important issue that men, right, they are the ones that believe more in beating, right? In terms of disciplining, I've said kuti mai vari kumusha vanoti baba venyu vachauya and muchavaona baba venyu. Then this is creating a system. It is becoming a system within the society, and even the obedience that is there is not an obedience out of a virtue. It's actually a fear-based obedience where people are, they think, right, the fear is translated to obedience, right? So emotionally, the nation is dying, right? It's raising men who thinks beating is the solution, and whenever conversations would want to start, right, they think they can exercise their power using what? Yes. Using the shambo. Shamundu inoshanda chibhakera munhu ngarohwa kushaya kurohwa, right? So I think we want to say yes, these are the effects, right, that we have. These are the effects, but in the modern society where we are going, right, we want to come out from this system, right, where we are going, right, what should be done? What are the modern ways that can be used besides corporal punishment? I've said even the law is not allowing. We are seeing that it is causing more harm than it is causing any good to the community. So zvii zvingaitwa nhasi, vana baba nhasi vangaita sei, vangaita sei kuti vabatsire vana?
Coming from a psychology and guidance background, it calls for fathers and men who are able to sit down and talk to the children. Isusu vana vavaidu vanga vasina nguva yekuti yekugara pasi nekungokutaurira, unongoudzwa chete kuti wakanganisa baba vauye votora shambo yodini vokuboka. Right? There was no explanation. Right? Number two, patati sit down, it means educate mwana.
Okay.
First, wotati udzoka mugwara kanditi.
Okay.
Saka gwara racho rimboripo here.
Okay.
Saka iwo usamhanya kunoti wabuda mugwara yeti iyo gwara racho usina kuriratidza.
Alright.
Saka pari kutodiwa murume anogara pasi oratidza gwara.
Okay.
Oratidza mitemo, oratidza zvinofanirwa kuteedzerwa pamba mumhuri.
Okay.
Zvichitaurwa nerudo.
Okay.
pasina kuchidzirana pena mataura that discipline at times is misconstrued as fear. Fear is
misconstrued as
discipline. No, yes. Atifanirwi kuchidzirana because ndokwazi kutanga futi kuti kuchidzirana iko kwefiye kusana fiye ndokuzoenda kuchiita even into a global threat yekuchichidzirana. Okay, gara pasi utaure unzwisiswe vanhu vazive vana vazive gwara. Okay, right? Yes, because kana aziva gwara even mangwana akanga azokanganisa you will still sit down. Ndakakuudza kuti unofanirwa kunge uchiunga uri pamba 6 o'clock zisati dzachaya. Okay, mwana haafanirwa kunge ari kunze. Okay, unless there is a very good reason for doing so and you inform us. Mwana anoziva kana akuzoya na9 anoziva kuti ndakanzi 6 o'clock and also explain the consequences of why you are saying that. Okay, and the reasons and then the consequences. Okay, tati unofanirwa asikana unofanirwa uri mwana ko unofanirwa wapamba na6 o'clock. Handitika nekuti kana the darkness will give cover for evil for people who want to harm you. Okay, hauonekwi nekuti usiku. Saka it's for your own safety. Okay, handiti ndosaka tiri kuti chi unga uri pamba uchakajeka. Okay, handiti saka mwana uya azozviita ndakakuudza kuti chi utofanirwa inguwayo. Right, vakutaurira nawo because wakazvitaura. Okay, but kana usina kuzvitaura chingomira torashambo chete. Okay, musaita noise kana vana tiri mumba hatifanirwi kuita noise nekuti chi tinodisturba maneighbors, tinodisturba vamwe varuda kuverenga, tinodisturba baba varuda kuzorora, tinodisturba vamwe handiti vana vamwe vaningina kana vari kuda kudini kuzorora. Saka ngatitaurei takadzikama tinonzwikwa. Okay, tataura what should be done. Okay, tataura ma consequences of that action yekuita noise. Handiti ngatisatora chikafu tichibva tapedzera vanhu. Okay, nekuti tiri as a community, as a family, we share the same food. Saka iwewe tora chako usirawo vamwe because vanodawo kudya. Okay, ukatora ukadya iwewe ukachipedza vamwe vanofa nenzara. Mangwana ukazviitirwawo zvinoita here, unozvida here kuti ubve kuchikoro uine nzara wosvika chadyiwa nevamwe nekuti iwewe asi unyanyoziva chachifanira chiripo. Zvakawanda zvinhu unofanira kunga wakaita gadzira mumba munorara handitika. Okay, ukasiya makadaro uri kupa mumwe munhu basa rezvinhu zvaifanira kudini kuita, uri kumuremedza. It's not good. Ubuntu hatifaniri kuita zvinhu zviri bad kune vamwe vanhu. Saka iwewe ita your part. Handiti vana vedu vanodzidziswa about being a family wati kuchikoro. Saka no zvinhu zvatiri kumudzidzisa kuti as a family tinoshare space, tinoshare maresources, tinoshare chikafu, tinoshare chichi. Zvese izvozvo tichiitira nekuti toda kugara tese zvakanaka mumhuri. Handiti wazvitaura izvozvo or you have time to do that. Saka zvinoda baba vari disciplined ivo wacho. Okay, okay, because you cannot demand discipline ivo wacho. Okay, baba havazikamuni vanouya pamba nguwai because danger aundaura kuti kunze kune danger the same danger is the same danger that will get you as well. Saka ivo kana usingazikamuni vanouya nguwai haupo, you don't explain but you just come and say ndazoti wanga wazoti vanonoka kuuya and then you beat them ivo vanonoka ofu. Okay, saka zviri kuda kuti baba ari disciplined. Okay, zondawo futi mai ari disciplined, zondawo ma-adults ari disciplined. Then you have, that's the next step, that mindset, then your behavior yourself imimi wacho you explain, you sit down and madaroma ndinozoona kuti when you come now and say wakanganisa zvakati so even mabasa kwatiri handiti unoudzwa we get discipline but tinoexplain was takati code of conduct inoti zvakati saka iwe nhasi wachikora zvakati uchiexplainerwa imagine dayo chikonzi wosvika pagedhi wototorwa shambo kuedzati wotanga kuti okay. Ameno unoitikaoma masectors but tutaura chi
I think it's very, very important. It's very important. It becomes very interesting in the sense that it's very important for clear boundaries. Yes. There is role modeling, right? Actually, the way we have been raised, the way men have been raised, the way children have been raised, has actually modeled them in a wrong way, which we are saying it should be corrected to say it is not only the shambok that actually helps. Actually, people need to sit down, communicate, have a conversation, talk to each other, understand each other, have clear boundaries, right? And those clear boundaries, they have calm enforcement and positive enforcement of discipline, right? So there is, in other words, discipline is always not negative, right? It should be positive, right?
Yes.
It should actually produce results that actually helps the person to develop in terms of the growth, right? So instead of us beating the children, instead of us making sure that the children fear, right? Let's have a conversation. It actually allows them to open up, right? It allows them to talk to us. It allows them to have discipline that is based on understanding.
Yes.
It builds trust even within themselves and self-esteem. It builds self-esteem. It also builds trust to their parents, right?
And confidence.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Because imagine what you are doing, you are not always confident of the consequences.
Okay.
You don't know. You are always afraid and you are always questioning yourself.
Okay.
But if you know when the rules are there, the boundaries are there,
okay,
you are building an individual who is confident.
Mm-hmm.
And in society, we need people who are confident. When there are people who are timid, you see, because they are the opposite of discipline through fear. Is you are going to have timid individuals.
Okay.
And I don't think timid individuals will make very good decisions in life. They will not go about doing perhaps doing things, even talk about building a nation. If you are timid, you cannot build your nation without confidence. You need that confidence to build a future, a nation. You see, so it will go back to decision making. One who is confident will now be able to make decisions. You see, from an informed point of view.
Okay. I think you are raising a very important aspect there to say beating is not the solution, right? And through observation, you can see that those that are beaten, they may stop the bad behavior temporarily.
Mm-hmm.
They may not really, it may not go.
Because there's fear.
Because it's just out of fear.
Yeah, to avoid pain.
Okay, so avoidance of pain it is as if they are now disciplined, yet in reality they are not, right? So it actually, and we also want to go, because I think in Africa we have got setups that are very, very important. The family institution is actually respected within the African setup. Mm-hmm. So I think we can use this family setup as a very important aspect in terms of disciplining, because the family system, the family is still intact. Yes, the people they are far away from each other because of distance, but the family set up. Right? So it means the family system is also very important. It can be very, very influential in terms of disciplining children. So we also want to bring the aspect of teachers. I've said, my teacher karaizi kana nukuroa, anuroa chaizo, and the school culture. Yes, kunuroa moon, right? So how can we then help? How can how can this be helpful to say how in schools are people dealing? You said you're an educationist, right? What can be done, right, in schools?
Right. Thank you so much. Our discipline at home, in the family.
Yes.
Right. But our children spend most of their childhood days in schools.
Yes.
So it means they are spending most of the time with the teachers.
Okay.
Right. So the question is now, this teacher is using corporal punishment was outlawed. Right?
Yes.
So what are the teachers doing today?
Mm-hmm.
I am sure part of what we've said is the teacher because this is a trained person,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I train teachers myself.
Yes.
We tell them that the first thing is to understand the child.
Okay.
Right? You cannot talk of discipline when the child you don't understand the child.
Okay.
Right? So we are talking about the psychology, the sociology, the way they interact,
Okay.
right? The way they think.
Mhm.
You see, when you understand that, then you go back to clear rules and regulations.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You cannot talk of we are punishing you when the learner does not understand why they are being punished. You see?
Okay.
So we start with the clear and you educate them, right? We have ample time to talk about the rules and regulations, right? Apart from that, also make sure that you apply the rules fair.
Okay. Okay.
See, because if you can punish student X for offense A and then do not punish student B for the same offense,
Okay.
then it becomes a problem. It becomes, they view it as favoritism.
Sure.
See? So you must be consistent, you must be fathering, right? Be mothering as a teacher, you must understand and you must be somebody who is there to explain, you see, the consequences. Explain again. We talked about that in family. At school, do the same.
Okay.
Right? And then also avoid creating situations where indiscipline can take place.
Okay. Okay.
I'm talking about guidance here, right? In other words, when you talk of the rules and regulations and you talk to your class, you are guiding them. So emphasize on guidance,
Okay.
right? So that they are informed, they know what they have information.
Okay.
And normally, every child who comes to school, they are not bad.
Okay.
See, no. In general, people are okay, right? But it is the experiences
That they have.
they go through. It is what they go through that will end up making us actually. It's not them who are bad, but we label them as bad, and then the labels stick, and then they will now behave as bad people.
Okay. I think you have raised a very important. We are saying that the school as an institution is very important. We are also seeing that the family as an institution is also important. Can't they meet somewhere else, right? Both the school and the family.
That's why I said what we are saying about the family is what should be obtained in the school system, right? Why I'm saying so is that this child we have is one, but in the morning during the day he is with the teachers at school.
Okay.
But you come back and be with us at home. If they are in boarding school, he is with the teachers
Most of the time.
but during holidays, they are back at home. You see? So, any education system that is functional, that is effective, is always having a very, very important link, interaction between the home and the school. I think the meet the teacher days, the parents days, teacher parents days, consultation days, these are some of the programs that are put in place.
Okay.
But also the individual teacher is also cannot be barred from knowing where, in fact, from a sociological point of view, that's what is encouraged. The teacher must know the society, so that you understand why the people you have, the learners you have in school.
Because certain behaviors emanating from the community aspect.
And the school, you see, the parents are also required to also go and see what is happening at school, because when the child behaves in a certain way at home, perhaps it's coming from home, from the school, or from the So the teacher and the parent must know each other and interact.
Okay.
Right. And then also the issue of positive reinforcement.
Okay.
Right. Praise them.
Okay.
When they've done correctly, when they've behaved well, praise them.
Okay.
Reward them for that.
Uh-huh.
So don't rush to just only focus on punishing, but look at good behavior and praise that. You know, there is a vicarious when you get experience from observing, you see? So when I see, when John sees Peter being praised by the teacher, you see, by the parent, they will also like to do that.
Okay.
Because it feels good. You see, you find John is being praised, is being rewarded, even by saying, this is very good, I am very happy. You see, children like parents and adults to feel happy because of what they've done.
Sure.
So acknowledge that. Don't just look for the negatives. But that's what we normally do. See, we normally focus on the negatives, and then the children are only conscious of the negative.
Okay.
But let's focus and emphasize the good, the positive, so that the children will all the time think about good things.
Okay. In other words, you are saying fear just creates compliance.
Yes.
It doesn't build a character, because guidance builds character, right? And discipline means teaching. So instead, people think, when we say discipline, people think of beating, right?
Correct.
And in reality, yes. But in reality, we are seeing that discipline is all about teaching, so that a person grows with the guidelines, right? With the parameters of the society or the family setup. So I think as we come to the end of the program, we are very, very cognizant, and actually to say the goal is to raise a child who is responsible. The goal is to raise a child who doesn't fear. The goal is also, who is very confident. We also want to raise children who respect themselves. Yes. It's very important to try not to be violent to the children, right? Very, very important, because it actually builds something within them emotionally, psychologically, right? The system, the software that you are putting into the child, right? So I think as we are coming to the end of the program, what are you saying? What is the closing remarks that we can leave to the viewers in terms of what? In terms of discipline?
I think the takeaway is discipline is not beating.
Yes.
Right? Focus on the positives.
Okay.
Right? This new generation, our children, are not us.
Okay.
You see, yes, we were raised in that particular era, right? But these ones are in their own era, in their own children as well in future. So let's understand them. Let's have time with them. Let's talk to them. Let's not be fathers or adults who are feared, so that whenever we arrive, children will run away.
Okay.
Because that way, we will not have time to communicate with them, even to educate them. So we will only have cases of beating them, correcting them, on things that we have not taught them.
Okay.
Which is not good.
In other words, conversation is very, very important. Communication is very important.
From a young age, talk to them.
Okay. Thank you very much. This is on GOTA MEN'S issues. We've heard that from the discussion that it is very important for us to discuss with our children. It's very important to have clear guidelines. It's very important for us to talk issues and build confidence within our children, because we want to raise citizens that are responsible. We want to raise fathers that understand and know where they are wrong and where they need to be corrected, what is supposed to be corrected, so that they can also raise another generation that is actually very responsible. As we come to an end, do not forget to subscribe, like, and share. We are on YouTube, we are on Twitter, we are also on Instagram. Thank you very much.
I am human, did not feel obey. Kutendere murume, I is emotion. Kutenda kapa mukota. Kutendere murume, dinende, I is emotion. dzimwe nguva ndefu tinotsva pasina anondihoda kuti handicheme zvakatangarini ndine dzinopisa zvirimo muninga hanzi kufa kwemurume kubudaura zvirimo